Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today what I'm going to do is pretty much we're just going to talk about the technical aspect of the white car, the kind of parts that were in it when we raced it last year, as well as the changes that we're making this year for the car. I know in the intro video I did talk quite a bit about the racing and the numbers that we ran with the car, going to the dyno and things like that, so I'm not really going to rehash on a lot of that stuff. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're just going to talk about what was in it when we ran the numbers we did. So when we raced the car, I think we weighed, the car itself was like 2375 or so. That was with carpet, dash, had heat, wipers, the ACR driver's seat, no other seats were in the car, stock fuel tank, things like that. What we ended up doing with rate reduction for the car was we took all the sound deadening out and went through the wiring harness, and I removed a bunch of wire, all the evap stuff, ABS, power steering wiring, oil. I mean, it was even finicky enough where I was removing the oil pressure sensor wire because it was just a light on the dash. It doesn't really give any feedback to the ECM. So I got rid of that, got rid of AC, EVAT, power steering, ABS, all that stuff that we didn't really need in the car to race. Oh, fall over my stuff here. To race the car. And we had the Turbo Bay version 1 BWS with the AGP wastegate actuator. When we were on the dyno, we spiked around, I want to say we were spiking up there between 25 and 27 pounds, and then it would come back and hold about 21 to 22. When we did, the car made 371 after we got her all settled down. Made 430 foot-pounds of torque. Definitely had potential to make a ton more if we put a lot of boost in it when it hit. I could have preloaded the wastegate and made a bunch more if I wanted to, but I didn't really want to. So I really didn't want it that aggressive where it made a ton of torque. So obviously, like I said, in the other video, we pulled it down a bit to make it a little bit more tameable. But as far as weight reduction parts that we had in the car, we went through all the wiring and stuff like that. I have a DCR engine support mount. I have a, I got a flashlight over here, I think. Let me get that real quick. I have the Full Throttle Performance subframe mount. The camera's going to be sideways because it's on the selfie stick thing, but just work with me here. So there is the Full Throttle Performance K-frame mount, so we can get rid of those heavy steel plates that hang off the front of the engine. Carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber trunk. What else did we do? No crash bars, like I said, no sound deadening, no ABS, and it's actually that master that I had talked about for this car that was over there on the bench. I already got one in this one as well. Lightweight battery. The wheels we used were Rota Slipstreams. They're not currently on the car. I used a PT Cruiser aluminum steel, a PT Cruiser aluminum donut wheel. I don't know what years they came off from. I got them secondhand from a friend of mine that had already sourced them. So we put them to use, and they're actually pretty light, really budget friendly for a really lightweight option for a rear tire. Trying to run a skinny where you don't have to go buy a couple $100 worth of welds or something like that. Anyway, as far as power goes, what we had in the car was a Walbro 255 in the tank that we did a bottleneck fix with, aeromotive regulator, ported intake manifold, modern performance 62mm throttle body, fuel injector clinic 1100cc fuel injectors. I used a stock 03 rail so we could do a short line to the regulator, just the way we could regulate the pressure, not have to buy anything fancy. Stock cams, stock rod, stock piston, ARP head studs, ARP rod bolts, Turbo Bay V1 BWS with an AGP wastegate and a big neck manifold. I'm not 100% sure if he did the manifold or if somebody else did, so I'm not going to comment on that because I did buy that stuff used. It came on a car that we went to Pennsylvania to get. It was a kind of a part out car. I had some body panels that I would have liked to have had. So I made a deal with the guy and ended up just buying the whole car, and I didn't even know that it had the big wheel stock turbo on it. We got it back here. I start taking it apart. Lo and behold, there's extra parts in there that I wasn't expecting. So that was a pretty good bonus. That's why I ended up going to that part. Otherwise, we probably would have went a little bit different direction. And being that we did go this direction, I'm actually very happy with the results and what the car did. Very tameable. It wasn't a crazy setup. I didn't have to worry about a whole bunch of custom stuff. Matt, he's awesome. He took care of the turbo for me. He went through, made sure everything was good, and that we were ready to actually beat the hell out of it for a year. I love working with Matt out of Turtle Bay. I think he's from Sarasota, I think is his address, down in Florida. Really, really nice parts. So if you guys are ever considering a big wheel stock turbo option for these cars, definitely look into Turtle Bay Performance. He kills the game. I mean, they hold the record for the ET. Not me personally, but this turbo does. So they got the ET record, mile-an-hour record for a big wheel stock turbo car with no nitrous assist. I'm not really sure what the nitrous assist difference is right now, but we're going to try it with that one on pump gas with this turbocharger. But he also has the horsepower record, I believe, with a stock motor and a BWS. So I mean, it's kind of a good reason to go that way, I guess. I don't know why anybody would consider anything else. I'm not bashing anybody else's products. I know AGP puts one together. They don't recommend a whole bunch of boost. People have run it, enjoyed the car. It's for driving. Tyler also makes one. It's like a 20G variant. I know a guy down in Detroit. He has that set up, and we made a pretty comparable number with his car. I think his tune was actually a little bit rich when he went on the dyno, but he made 6 less horsepower on 2 more pounds of boost than I did. So like I said, I don't know if that was just in the tune or if there's something there that we could correlate to actually tie all that together to make it comparable, because he said the wheel sizes are very close. But anyway, so we did that. I ended up using a CX Racing intercooler. It was the Evo style core, and I got rid of that thing because I hated the pipes on it. They were kind of a pain in the ass. And I have one right here. And actually, what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to pull the bumper off. Sorry for walking around. I know the lights kind of mess with the camera a bit. But I am doing this with a Hero 3 Black. Let me pull the bumper off this car quick here. I do have it loose already. Still nursing this damn cold. But so with this car, we ended up doing the CX Racing, like I said, Evo style intercooler. And what I did was I cut the tubes off on both sides. We welded pipes in so everything works with factory style piping. That way I could buy an off the shelf, well, not off the shelf I guess, but a pre-manufactured intercooler pipe, and I didn't have to deal with trying to run it through the core support anytime I had to service the car, if I had to pull a transmission to do anything with it. You know, like if I would have for whatever reason broken a clutch or an input shaft or something like that, it would not be a nightmare to try and work with, or an extra pain in the ass. It'd be a lot easier to work with. I didn't have to bother with trying to modify the CX Racing intercooler to fit a tile blow-off valve, which is what I wanted to run on the car. I didn't want the HKS. So the stock CX piping, this one's been gobbled and gooped all to hell, but I mean, it worked. With this pipe, I think I went like 1221 at 114 or something like that. With about, I think at the time we were spiking about 23 or 24 pounds, and we were holding right around 18. The pipe never leaked. I mean, we boost leak tested it up to 30 pounds, and it looks like ass, but it worked. But what it does is the pipe actually fishes through the core support, so it kind of sits in the vehicle like this, but obviously inside of there. So you can see how the pipe goes through, and then there's a rubber coupler that's supposed to go into that intercooler. So like I said, I didn't want to deal with that, so we ended up modifying the cooler so we could get away from that shit. What else did we end up doing for power? Nothing crazy. I mean, a 3-inch O2, 3-inch down pipe that actually went down into a modern performance cat back. But what I did, here's the cat back actually, it's on the ground right here. I had an old piece and I had cut it. I've had this exhaust in about 3 or 4 different cars so far, so that it's been cut. But that was the exhaust system we ran. I didn't run a cutout. I didn't want to have to deal with that, but it did bell down to the 2.5 inch. Went through the resonator, and then it just kind of dumped over the axle like that. Nothing crazy. So that's really about all we had for a power direction here. We had E85 stock coil, MSD wires, Gates black timing belt. The throttle body, or the intake manifold, is ported a little bit. I don't know if I said that earlier or not. If I did, sorry for repeating myself, but I mean, it is what it is. So that's where we were. We went 1129 at 121 miles an hour at 19 pounds of boost with boost control issues while we were down at Orlando. I mean, the car ran phenomenal for the amount of boost that we actually had through it. And I was looking for a 10. but for some reason I didn't have control of my boost. We were running gate pressure the whole time. I don't know if the solenoid was just seeing pressure opening, blowing itself open, and then not shutting to build more boost again. So this year what I'm going to do is we're getting rid of the stock solenoid. I'm still going to use the boost box for now. I'm going to do a 3-port max solenoid with it, and then we're going to see if we can get our control back. If we can't, then I'm just going to get rid of the boost box. I'm going to go back to PCM boost. I'll probably still use the max solenoid anyway, and then we'll see what happens with that. If it can't control the max solenoid for some reason, I'll put a stock one back in, see if we can get our control back. But I got to get this thing lined out so I can run more than gate pressure. That way we can actually go for a number, because gate pressure ain't going to be enough to try and do what we're trying to do here. So that was where we were with the car last year. This year, the changes that we're making, we actually went in and we're going full race car with it now. I don't have a light on the car right now, so it's kind of dark. But excuse me. No carpet. You can see where the sound deadening had been pulled off the floor with all the gray spots that I haven't painted or anything yet. We're going to get rid of the park and brake. I'm putting a hydraulic brake in it, so all the cables and the hardware that goes in around the drum that has a little bit of drag is going to get removed, so there is no friction there on the back tire that would potentially hold me back. Because in order to adjust that park and brake up and to get the car to hold during a burnout, you got to have it preloaded, so there's always that little bit of friction. So we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to use the hydraulic brake with the calipers to just hold the car that way. We ended up, like I said, we took the dash and everything out. You can see that it's going to have no heat anymore. We took all the wipers and everything out of the car. It does have the PT-GT shifter, and I really love this thing because it sits up pretty high. Very nice to ride with. I thinned out the dash harness and everything already. It's been back in the car. I tried to film a little bit with that blue one, but the batteries that I had for my cameras weren't the best, and thank the wife for early Valentine's Day present, because she got me a battery pack. Well, two packs, I guess is what you call it, but it was a 3-pack of GoPro batteries with chargers. So I'm using one of their batteries right now. Hopefully it lasts me pretty good. But so what I did was I repinned the fuse box. So all the fuses obviously they're all thin. These are all battery power. These are all ignition power. And I do have some stray wires that come out of my harness here that are going to power gauges and miscellaneous stuff for what we're doing with the car. Everything's back in. I'm going to move all of these wires. That's for like my boost box and oil pressure gauge and the watt box, and the data logger for other shit is going to be moved over to the, you kind of see where the grommets not there yet. I don't know if you can see the light around the harness, but that's where I'm going to run those wires in through. So they're all kind of coming over, and there's nothing hanging on the back of the back by the engine anymore. Get it all away from the exhaust. Clean it up a little bit, like I said, just move things out of the way. That way, if we do for whatever reason have a catastrophic failure, I'm not going in for a wiring repair either. I don't plan to blow it up, but you never know what's going to happen. We're gonna try and send this son of a bitch into the tents pretty decently there. But so what we're changing with the turbo is Matt actually offered what I believe he was referring to as the Stage 4 or V4 BWS. He did a limited run of 10 of these turbochargers. We ended up, I dropped off a turbo and a manifold while we were down there at the showdown in October that he reworked for me, so that part is on the way. I'm going to pull the head off. I'm going to do a light port on the exhaust side. I'm not really going to do much with the intake. I don't think I really need to. I don't know how far I'm going to go with the port. We might just kind of clean up the port, open up the mouth a little bit towards the gasket. Try and get this thing to help me breathe a little bit better. Because I did the math, and on the size tire that I want to run with the gear that's in the car, to go about 135 in the quarter, well, in the quarter, I guess, it doesn't really matter as far as distance, but to go 135, I need about 6,300 RPM in fourth gear, and I don't want to have to shift into fifth going down the track, so we're going to open the head up a little bit, see if we can help it hold a little more power out the top there, and get it to, obviously, go down the racetrack and see if we can go the, hopefully a 1050. That is the ultimate goal here, is to see at least a mid-10. The current record right now, I believe, is held by my buddy Chris. That is a 1069 at 130 with this V1 turbo. So the V3's got the V4 that we're getting has a much larger exhaust side, so we can hold more power on the top end. See if we can make more power as well. Not just make more power, but carry it further. That's the goal. Being a power band as long as we can, that's where we're going to find the mile an hour there. We got rid of the stock fuel tank, and we actually got Rob from Preunto Racing to make me a cell. So this is a cell that they made for the Honda, and normally they mount theirs on the driver's side because that's where their washer bottle is. So I messaged him and I said, hey, you know, I like the way your cell looks. I think it really would work on my car. Could you make one but have it mount on the passenger side of the car? So he had one that was all mocked up. He didn't have any tabs or anything on it yet. So he went ahead and he moved the mounting locations. So we got a dash 10 coming out of the bottom of the cell here, dash 6 return. What we're going to end up doing is I'm going to get rid of the return rail here. I'm just going to use a stock rail. I'm going to put the regulator over here in the corner. The fuel pump and everything. The fuel pump's going to be here. The filter's either going to be down here or under the cell right here. I'm not sure. Depends on how everything fits out with it. So the filter pump will be up here. I'm going to run a bulkhead fitting through the core support. So we're going to take our fuel line, it'll come in through here, go up to the regulator, and then the return line will just kind of loop back to the cell, and then we'll just feed the rail. That shouldn't be an issue. Fluid pressure is fluid pressure. It should work. I'm not too concerned with it. Obviously, if it is, then I'll change what I have to get there, but we're going to try and clean this up, get rid of, like I said, move this regulator over here, clean this area up a little bit, get rid of that spider spaghetti looking mess. We're going to use a 2-liter exhaust camshaft, which I do have in the back of the car here. It's not going to matter. You're not going to see a cam spec by looking at it. But so we're going to use that. I also have modern performance gears that we're going to run so we can degree the cam in, get everything set. This is just a random tube. That's all I used for the intake. I don't even know what it fit. My buddy bought a Supra that came on it. We changed directions with the car. We used a hole set that has a 4-inch inlet, so that 3-inch ain't gonna work for him. And I was looking at it and I was like, man, it's got the right bend. I bet if I used a 90-degree coupler, it would work really well. It did. It clears the battery, cleared the regulator, and it ended up working really well. So we're just gonna keep using it. I do have. I got an AC block-off plate. I got a heater block-off plate that I got to install yet. That's gonna go over the hole right there. We did pull the wipers. Now there is a hole in the cowl panel here, and the reason that was there was when I originally put the car together and I was wiring it, I wanted to be able to run all my wires for the nitrous and the boost box, watt box, data logger, oil pressure gauge, things like that, in a connector that I could disconnect if and when I ever had to pull the motor out to service anything. So I'm not in there trying to cut stuff or run a wire through the car or deep in a connector and feed everything through so I can work with it. So I was going to use this connector here. I got this connector off of Amazon, and I got it, I got the hole cut and I had it mounted. It was in a good spot. It cleared a lot of stuff. Started pinning the connectors with the terminals, and every terminal that I would crimp, it was trying to like bend and it would never sit in the connector right. The ones that I did get to work, I put the connector body together, pulled the connector apart to, obviously to test everything, and the pins were sticking. It was pulling wires through the connector, and it was just a big piece of shit. And I just got tired of messing with it, so I took it out, and I ended up just getting some standard connectors here, and I split them off. So like this one here is for the boost box. This one does the tip sensor and the boost solenoid. This one is for the watt box and other sensors that feed for the watt box or the boost box as well. So when I do the engine harness, I can unplug this one. This one's for the body side. So whatever I have to do, I can split it. I'm not trying to deep in a connector to split everything, like I said. Try and make this vehicle as service friendly as I possibly could. So really, that's where we're at with the car. I do have some Tuner Geeks rear trailing arms that we're going to put in it. These guys right here. I got some more tubular control arms that I already have on the car. Those are probably going to go in this one. But the car does currently have an ACT HD G6 clutch. So it's just a heavy-duty 6-puck, nothing wild. It has drive shaft level 3 axles. It has either a KW or a Franna Gen 3 input shaft. It's got a straight cut first, second gear. I can't remember which. I have a few transmissions. I got 3 on the bench behind me. I got the built one that's in this car. There's a built one going in that car. I also have a P-Works helical cut billet shaft trans. So I mean, there's parts scattered. There's parts been changed. So I can't remember what part is in which car. I just do know that they are straight cut. I haven't had an issue with it, so we're just going to run with it. I've heard of guys having issues with the Gen 3s. I've seen a couple of them break. One of them was a pretty big power, big torque car. That one he broke the input shaft on, and then he ordered another one. and it wasn't machined correctly. So, you know, fingers crossed, I got a good shaft. We'll see what happens in the long run. Sorry, my nose is running. I'm still trying to get over this cold. But I do have the regulator mount, so we can move the regulator over by the motor. It's got the rebuild kit and everything. This is for a fuel lab, but I think most of the bolt patterns are pretty close to the AEM, or the Aeromotive, sorry. These are the filter and pump mounts. These are just billet mounts with a rubber isolator. So that's what we're going to use to hold the fuel pump in by the intercooler. Oh, I just put all this shit in the same box. But so that's where this car is going currently. Really not a whole lot of updates I can really give yet on this one. What else are we doing? Don't really think I'm changing a whole lot else with the car. Oh, I did forget one more thing that we're doing with it. The rear glass here. We're going to get rid of the rear glass. I do have sheets of Lexan that I'm going to cut down, and we're going to use for that. So by the time I get the cage in, get the Lexan, cut the bars and shit out of the doors, door panels and everything, that should hopefully find us about another 30 pounds per door. I'm hoping. We'll see. Like I said, I have no idea what to expect with it yet. I haven't done anything like this with the Neon. So yeah, this should be one of the last long videos that I have, or longer videos that I have, because I'm still going to do a video to talk about the calibers, talk about the Blue Beater a little bit, talk about the black car that I got that we're driving. You know, a couple people asking questions on it. So we'll give a little bit of a story on those. And then after that point, pretty much you'll be up to speed with all the cars and everything that we're doing, so we can get into more of the technical direction and build videos of, you know, what it is we're doing, what we're changing, how we're doing it, why we're doing it, and that will hopefully get us through and in a position to make good short videos again, so you guys aren't sitting here for a half an hour looking at my ugly self. You know, hopefully they'll be 10-15 minute videos. I probably won't even put this in the video, but we'll see. So yeah, that is basically the backstory of my white car. Like I said, if you guys got any questions, go ahead, drop a comment. I'll try to answer them in the videos. Most of the time I do reply. I don't think I've missed any comments yet on any of the videos I posted. So like I said, if you got any questions, go ahead and ask. If you got something you want to see, say something. I could get into anything. I can get into most things more, into more detail if you ask, or if anybody's interested in that information, or if somebody wants to see something specific about a car, I can go ahead and cut in a video real quick. That's no big deal. Even if I'm not doing, you know, if somebody has a question on the blue car that, you know, of something that I've already filmed, and I'm doing a video on the white car here, if somebody, like I said, if somebody has that question, I can go ahead and cut that car in real quick, and I could get that answered for you. So like I said, thanks for watching, guys, and have a good one.